What's going on, leaguers? Welcome to the Spectacular Spoiler League. I'm the Pandan Superman, the mayor of Hype City, HazyRome, and as always, I'm joined by the God of Night, the Prime Minister of Post-Production, DeepBoyce. And today we are here to talk a little bit about E3 2017, specifically the top 10 games from E3 2017, top 10 video game trailers that we liked and are excited for. DeepBoyce, man. Tell them how we making this list, man. Because we want to be clear. This is our video game trailers that we consider top 10. Okay? Because some people, I know it's coming. The hate, okay, that might be coming for some of the choices that we have. But these are games that, based on the trailers, these were games that we were excited for. DeepBoyce, let's get into the top 10, baby. Let's get into this top 10 list of E3 video game trailers that got us hype. DeepBoyce, man, what's number 10?
Number 10 is Monster Hunter: World. I mean,
Is it a colon?
I believe it's a colon. That's a good question. Monster Hunter World. Let's just leave it at that. It's the first Monster Hunter game on the only consoles that matter in the longest time. I mean, yes, we're getting Monster Hunter XXX on the Switch or whatever.
It is a colon, by the way.
World. So, yeah, Monster Hunter XX is a remaster that's going to be on a Nintendo console, but Monster Hunter World, we're getting it on PS4, Xbox One, PS4 Pro, Xbox One X, I believe, and at a later date on the PC. Now, for those of you that don't know anything about Monster Hunter, it's basically a game that you team up with your friends, and there are tons of different creatures that you go out and you fight. It's really like an action-based, an action RPG, rather. Where and it's a lot of loot. You customize your weapons and you customize your armor, and you kind of get together with friends, and basically it's boss runs. You're going from boss to boss to boss to boss. It's just a ridiculous amount. I mean, these games are super popular in Japan. They don't sell quite as well in America, but they still do well, and they're still popular. And it was, we could both agree that we were kind of, it was kind of cool to see that we're going to get this and we're going to get a chance to try this out because, like we've said before, there aren't enough co-op games out there, and co-op games, in my opinion, make the world go round.
Anyway, guys, number 9, we've got Anthem coming out from BioWare, new IP from BioWare. Now, you may be wondering, damn, how did Anthem rank that low for you guys? Well, to be honest with you, the Anthem trailer itself, it looked good, like, flying, through the air, dipping down to the sea and still, I guess, swimming, but technically flying because they're using a jetpack.
Yeah.
But it looked pretty cool. It's just they didn't really show much in the ways of just like, story, even though, we know that it's BioWare. BioWare is usually known for, having fantastic stories.
Yeah. But unfortunately, that's a bit of a double-edged sword at this point in time because you think, yeah, it's BioWare. They've put out some good narratives in some of the games, but it's also BioWare, and they've kind of messed up as of late, most notably Mass Effect Andromeda, which came out this year. So, and this is coming from two big BioWare fans, by the way.
True. But that being said, Mass Effect Andromeda was made by essentially what amounts to BioWare's B team, which is BioWare Montreal, which has now essentially been, dissolved because they've kind of just been, most of the people in that team have been spread out through the other teams in BioWare. They have other locations in Edmonton, which is the main studio, and Austin, and so on and so forth. And the remnants of that team is just basically patching Mass Effect Andromeda. Anthem is made by BioWare Edmonton, who's made the first 3 Mass Effect games that we love.
Yes, sir.
And the writer of Anthem, the writer of the story for Anthem, is the same guy who wrote Mass Effect 1 and 2.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
I like that.
But, like Hazy was saying, I mean, it was a very beautiful looking vertical slice of the game. Vertical slice being, a very optimized small piece that you can show off at a conference. We still have a lot left to see.
For sure.
And, in my opinion, it didn't quite grab us as much as some of the earlier entries in our list right now. And it's not to take anything away from the game, but we still kind of want to see more. But
sure.
As a plus, it definitely intrigued us, and there's a lot. We're definitely going to keep our eyes out on future trailers and gameplay footage of this game as the months come along before its release.
For sure, man. That being said, man, let's move on to number 8. Number 8, we've got Uncharted: The Lost Legacy.
Yes, sir.
So there's a lot of people out there. This is coming from Naughty Dog, of course. A lot of people out there calling this DLC. First of all, that's silly. Yes, Uncharted 4 was originally supposed to have DLC going with it. Everybody knows that. But DLC stands for downloadable content. I'm pretty sure this is not necessarily downloadable. That's one.
Yeah, I think you could buy this probably in a physical copy, like in its own case.
Right. Secondly, this is been touted by Naughty Dog as essentially a solo campaign, a little bit smaller than Uncharted games. It's running, according to them, it's supposed to run from about 8 to 10 hours. If you want to call it an expansion, I will let that rock because I think that's something that me and DeepBoyce are calling it as. Yeah. But to call it DLC is a little bit of a misnomer. Yeah. And there have been other games that, we refer to DLC when they're actually expansions. I just feel like the term DLC has become overused. But Uncharted Lost Legacy, nonetheless, looks really good. Starring Chloe and Nadine, not Nathan Drake. But, the action, the fantastic graphics by Naughty Dog. The trailer did it for me, man.
Yeah, when you think Naughty Dog, you think pretty much one word, and that's cinematic. A lot of these trailers and the games and the stories themselves, you can pretty much put them up against any Hollywood-produced movie trailer.
For sure.
And there's really not a negative thing you can say about it. It's fantastic. But, we wanted to give some of these other games some shine because they came out with some different ideas. And this is, I guess, very far into the franchise already. Not exactly a brand new idea. It's just like another take and another angle with some new characters in the Uncharted universe.
Oh, man. Amazing. So I'm looking forward to that game, man. DeepBoyce, hit him with number 7.
Number 7 is Metro Exodus. A game that is very much in the style of, I guess, Wolfenstein and Doom, where it's narrative-heavy, single-player, first-person shooters. And this one, unfortunately, I don't think this franchise gets talked about enough. Metro Last Light was a fantastic game, and I personally was super excited to see that they're making another Metro game, particularly Metro Exodus, where they're advancing the story, and it looked phenomenal. And it was one of those trailers. I think what I personally was impressed about the trailer is they walked the walk. They put their money where their mouth is, and they just showed you exactly what it is that this game is about. There wasn't too much dialogue. You don't exactly know where the story is headed, which oftentimes could be a negative for any one of these trailers, but they really set the vibe and the mood. And I think even for someone, that's really looking forward to narrative in games like Hazy, I think, he was definitely intrigued by what he saw in this franchise. It doesn't help that, it does help also that a lot of nice things are said about this franchise. It is highly
for sure.
Definitely very atmospheric. And I forgot to mention, one of the key things about the trailer is the particle effects upon particle effects. And one of the things that I also kind of look for in some of these trailers is give me an idea of what it's like to actually play this game. Don't script it too much. And yeah, obviously this trailer was scripted to kind of move it along. But, having played the Metro games, I can really tell that what I saw there is a very good snapshot of what I'm actually going to play when the game comes out. And it's going to be, again, you're going to have a lot of droplets of water. You're going to have, the exhaling, and you're going to have the effects of the fallout and the radiation. You're going to have, I guess, all the nice little details that they really put into this Metro game. And that's the devil's in the details when it comes to this franchise. So I'm definitely excited.
Definitely, man. Coming in at number 6, we've got the trailer for Metroid Samus Returns. Now, Nintendo, you're a bunch of busters for this because you showed it after the Direct. You didn't include it in the Direct. There are a lot of people who did not see this game. This is a game coming to the 3DS and I suppose the 2DS if you have that. But it looked great. It looked, a return to form for the Metroid franchise. The side-scrolling Metroidvania we all love. The combat looked great. It looked actually a little bit quicker. I'm sure DeepBoyce can agree with that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But it's just been a long time since we got a Metroid game, people. Yeah. It's been a long time. Like, I know Metroid 4 is coming out. Like, people are hyped for that. But it's been a long time since we got a Metroid game. And this one, it's back to the basics, man.
Yeah,
it's back to the basics.
This kind of reminded me of an old school trailer where it was just very, very to the point, very hectic, and then just showing you a lot of gameplay. And it was very exciting to see, especially in contrast to the announcement of Metroid Prime 4, which was just literally
a 4.
the 4. Yeah.
Literally the number 4.
And it's very weird because this is a company that has no problem showing off Super Mario 3D World, the game that came out like way back in the day. Oh, you cannot play it on your Switch via download on the Nintendo store. Yet they didn't bother to show this one, and it's very baffling. It's very baffling, but it looked
For sure.
it looked awesome. The 3DS is one of the best handhelds, if not the best handheld of all time. And it's definitely something to kind of add to your repertoire of DS games to play. I mean, I encourage anyone and everyone that is marginally interested in this or any Metroidvania type of game, check it out.
I'm happy it's coming soon, man. September 15th, 2017, man.
That is probably one of the best parts about that trailer.
That's really soon, man. That's really soon. Next up at number 5, man.
Yes.
DeepBoyce, what we got?
Middle Earth. Shadow of War, a game that the title I've been struggling to say for quite some time.
I was gonna say that's the first time DeepBoyce has ever said that title correctly.
I've called it Middle of War. I've called it Shadow of Earth. I've called it all sorts of crazy stuff. But nonetheless, it's Middle.
He's not lying, too. Those are 100% things you've called it.
It is Middle Earth, Shadow of War, the continuation of the previous game, Shadow of Mordor. Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor. But anyway,
he struggled there, but you got it.
It's a lot of middle, a lot of earth. The title's kind of crazy, but anyway, they've been. This is not the first time we've seen anything of this game, but they definitely went above and beyond, showing what this game is all about. And particularly, we're talking about the gameplay trailer during the E3 conference, where they show you not only the new gameplay mechanics. But something that is super important is how do these new gameplay mechanics factor into the game, the way you're going to play and the story. And basically, in this one, instead of just taking down the Dark Lord Sauron's army, you're also building your own army. And one of the things that was very, well received in the first one were the orcs. There was the Nemesis system and the orcs. And people were, I myself included, we really liked how there was a lot of personality and character to some of these generals and some of these captains that you would oftentimes go up against, sometimes multiple times, because they would kill you. I mean, it wasn't that easy of a game early on. But in this one, it definitely seems like there's a lot more dialogue that you get, and there's a lot more that factors into the story. You really get to know, the generals that you indoctrinate into your army, which is really, really cool. It kind of adds like a slight mix of Fire Emblem, or Final Fantasy Tactics, where you get to know your party members, but your party members, if they die, they're gone. So I'd like to see if that kind of plays out in Shadow of War. If I have the great General Boogerhead and we're playing through half the game and then he ends up dying, that adds to the gameplay experience, because maybe, Hazy's playing it and great General Boogerhead lasts till the very end. You know what I'm saying?
I don't want no booger heads in my army, man. I'll keep it a buck. I'll be keeping a buck 50 with you, man. But, I mean, the orcs seem to have some personality, some more personality. I mean, they had personality in the first game in Shadow of Mordor, but Shadow of War seems to add, like, a lot of personality and dialogue to these orcs that you're recruiting. And there's also a cool element where apparently you can be ambushed by orcs now, too. So, in the trailer, they kind of showed an orc who you had, I guess, encountered before, and apparently you dismembered somehow, and he got rebuilt, and he came and ambushed you and tried to attack you. Dope. So I think that's really cool. I also think there's something a little scary with the idea that, Talion, the main character, voiced by Troy Baker, by the way, is, he's working with his boy, his freaking ghost sprite guy. Celebrimbor. Thank you, DeepBoyce. And the orcs refer to him as the Bright Lord. Now, you're recruiting orcs. I feel like there's something a little bit, ominous there, where you're recruiting an army to fight the Dark Lord, and you have a ring of power yourself. There's a potential to, create some type of problem with the main character. Maybe he falls, man.
Yes,
maybe he turns to the side he's trying to fight against, in a sense.
That's true.
But I don't know. I'm prepared to take that journey with Middle Earth Shadow of War. It looks great. As you said, the Nemesis system, which is a system where if you kill a character, if you defeat a character, or if a character defeats you, rather, they can come back and they rise through the ranks and they get stronger and they have more enemies to fight, for you to fight in order to get to them. And I think that's a really cool concept. Also, new to this game, you can't repeat missions. So it's one and done. Once the mission is over, that'll send repercussions throughout the game, which
that has shades of Fire Emblems, like I mentioned earlier.
That's dope, man. And when that's one thing, you've seen people clone like Dark Souls combat. I haven't seen anyone clone the Nemesis system. And I think, that's something that's really unique about the Shadow of War game, Shadow of Mordor, and the Middle-earth franchise at large. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Man. I mean, it's a mix of the Arkham combat and like Nemesis system. What was so compelling is that as you level up, your enemies can also level up. So that's really cool.
And like even the like venturing in the open world, it has kind of like Assassin's Creed elements too, where you're able to climb damn near anything. Yeah. It's really cool, man. Really cool. Coming in at number 4, we've got God of War. Technically 4, but they're not calling it 4. It is God of War, the continuation of Kratos' saga, man. Yeah. He's in Norse mythology now, man. Yeah. That's awesome. He's in like, Norse. He's in a Norse mythology environment. I'm so hyped for that, man. I cannot be more hyper for just a change of scenery. Yeah. And also the fact that he's got a son now. Yeah. There seems to be, a narrative where he's gonna become a new person. He has to learn not to become this angry, blood-seeking character who's swinging his sword around, yelling and having sex with, people in ancient Greece. The dude has to learn to be responsible, and he has to learn to, he had a family that he slaughtered by, mistake in a state of rage, which is why, he's got that look. He's got that pale white look to him, the Ghost of Sparta look to him.
Yeah, no.
But, now he's got another chance at redemption. I think that's a really cool story, and the trailer really set the tone for that.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I think this is one of the things that was extremely interesting is I feel that, the character of Kratos in the God of War franchise, we've kind of grown with it. I mean, it kind of came out when we were younger, middle school or high school. I mean, way before we should have been allowed to play it, but we played it.
Yeah, we definitely shouldn't have been playing it at the age we were at, for sure.
And it's great to see this character growth. And in an age where, you have Mario's Mario, you have Sonic, he's still trash, you have all these other characters in all these different franchises, and they don't really deviate, which is good in its own way, but to kind of see this character growth for the character of Kratos was really, really cool. And like Hazy said, it definitely set the vibe, set the atmosphere that this is somewhat familiar, but it's also different. The combat also looks much slower, more grounded, and hopefully that'll play out to be very awesome. But one of the things that I really liked about the trailer was, some of the attention to detail. I really like that they mentioned that this is not the pantheon that you're used to. So many people thought that this game was just like some sort of reboot, or maybe it wasn't going to make reference to the previous games, but it really does seem like Kratos just said, to hell with Olympus, I'm going someplace else. It's too hectic over here. I got to try something different, find a better life for my son, and that maybe there'll be appearances from previous gods or gods that we're familiar with in the Greek pantheon. I think
this is very much a soft reboot. Yeah. Because it seems, even the words in the trailer, a woman speaking in the trailer says, that his son is not his past or, whatever. This is about his future. This is his chance, to be a father. His son needs him as a dad. Yeah, absolutely. And I was like, that's pretty cool, man. Like, they're acknowledging the past, but it's kind of a new life for Kratos, a new life for God of War. As you said, the combat's now like third person over the shoulder as opposed to kind of like the 2.5D combat they had before, melee based combat before. Still melee, but it's not exactly like, doesn't seem to be like combos and whatnot. DeepBoyce, man, hit it with number 3.
Number 3 is a new fighting game that's appeared on the scene, a new challenger that approaches Dragon Ball Fighter Z, or Fighters. We're still not entirely sure whether it's Fighter Z or Fighters.
I'm going to go with Fighter Z. I'm inclined to think it's Fighter Z, just by the way the Z is capitalized. Fighters just sounds weird. I hope it's Fighter Z.
The game's Dragon Ball Fighter Z is made by Arc Systems Works, a developer that's made the Guilty Gear franchise of games, a game that is games that are highly lauded and they're of very good quality, but obviously they're not as mainstream as some of the Capcom games like Street Fighter or the Mortal Kombat games. But they definitely it was definitely a very smart decision to have these people who are known for making great games attached to a very popular franchise, which is Dragon Ball FighterZ. And not only is this number 3 because Hazy and I are big Dragon Ball Z fans,
huge Dragon Ball
Z fans, but Arc Systems, they definitely get it. They definitely understand what it takes to make a Dragon Ball game or a Dragon Ball fighter. I mean, this game is all about flair. It's got flair just bursting at the seams. It looks absolutely fantastic. I've seen many people that don't even like Dragon Ball Z that had to give this game props. Had to give the trailer that they showed off props because it looks amazing and it looks over the top and fun, and that's what Dragon Ball Z is all about. And you know, it's in a broad stroke of the paintbrush. You see, you know, it's got an amazing art style, cel-shaded art style that's reminiscent of the animes that are so famous.
It looks damn near like it, to be honest, man.
And you know, not to hate on some other games out there, but there's another franchise out there, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, that's not looking so good, especially in comparison to this. But you know, again, stylistically, it looks amazing. The moves and everything, some of the more powerful moves, either destroy the background or destroy the entire Earth. Every time when fighters get together to fight, it's a lot like the show. They just kind of clash into one another at super high speed. I mean, there's just a lot of awesome stuff that stylistically, that is applied not only stylistically, but also in terms of the game's mechanics, which I think is super important. And this game is apparently only 20% of the way done. It's supposed to come out in 2018. We'll see what more they add. I mean, how they change up the characters. More importantly, the roster, which we did a video that you can check on out here at the Hall of Spoilers YouTube channel, of top 15 characters, obscure characters we'd like to see in Dragon Ball FighterZ. But yeah, and also who knows what kind of story mode element they'll implement to this game, because that's become a thing as of late for fighter games. If you look at a game like Injustice 2 or Tekken 7, they definitely go out of the way to make some fantastic single-player story modes. So if they could do something like that in this, that'll make it even better.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's got 3 versus 3 combat. Having played it at E3 2017 myself, I can tell you that the combat, I mean, the game is 20% done, but they came ready with a great demo. I mean, everyone, I didn't meet, like, I hung around that booth for a while, and I was talking to people as they were finished with the game, and I can tell you a lot of people were like, this is awesome. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's, you know, as I said, 3 versus 3 combat. The combat is ridiculously responsive. I actually feel like I'm playing like a Dragon Ball Z character. And, you know, one of the things that has kind of been a staple of Dragon Ball Z and that whole franchise is, you know, the fast-paced fighting. You know, people are throwing fists and energy blasts super quickly. And, you know, that's something that this game definitely has. I mean, there's also the element of destructible environments where, you know, you could kind of, you know, I guess power up or even throw enemies into places on the gameplay, the battlefield, that are destructible, and it then changes the atmosphere of the battlefield. I mean, it's ridiculously cool, man. I loved playing that game. And also, you know, this is something that people that are, you know, fighting game enthusiasts may not like, but it's really easy to pick up for people who aren't necessarily into fighting games. So, you know, if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, I would pick this up, man. It's been a long time since we had a great, amazing Dragon Ball Z game. And the last time I really got into a game was, you know, back when the original Budokai, not Budokai Tenkaichi. I'm talking about Budokai 1, 2, and 3. You know, it's been a long time. I'm really looking forward to Dragon Ball FighterZ or Dragon Ball Fighters. Not sure how they're pronouncing it. Yes. It's a very Japanese name. They could have just called it Dragon Ball Z Fighters, but they switched it up on us, man. But anyway, DeepBoyce, let us get to our number 2. Who do we got at number 2?
We've got Wolfenstein 2. The new Colossus.
Wolfenstein. The new Colossus, baby.
The new Colossus. I mean, the number 2 and number 1 spots are in many ways interchangeable. I mean, this trailer I thought was absolutely fantastic. I mean, it was super stylistic. They definitely went for a certain vibe to not only, I guess, let you know that this is an alternate history where the Nazis won, but also to add a little bit of humor and to kind of creep you out at the same time. Because obviously...
Yeah, it was very Bethesda-like. You know what I mean? Especially like it was very reminiscent of their marketing for Fallout.
Oh, absolutely. Because they start off with I guess a live action segment where it's like a game show where they're trying to guess. I forget what it's called. It's like who is he really German, or guess who's the German, or something like that. It's really really weird and creepy. And then
there was another kind of take on Lassie, except that instead of it being Lassie, it was like one of the kind of like the dog based machines. I forget what they call them that the Nazis used in Wolfenstein. That was pretty funny. Essentially, they were flipping through channels, is what they were showing. But then it switches over into the storyline for the game.
Yeah. No, it cuts into in-game, I guess, cinematics where you have a creepy cutscene with a Nazi inside of I guess an American diner who's asking for a milkshake, and he's having a conversation with you. And he asks you for your papers, and then it goes all downhill because you're not supposed to be there, and you're kind of a wanted enemy. Within, I guess, the New Reich or in America or whatever they're going to call it. And then, you also start to get, you see more about what happened with BJ Blazkowicz, who's the main character.
He's alive.
He was.
And Anya's pregnant. His wifey's pregnant with twins, mind you.
And he's been in a coma for like a year. He has severe muscular dystrophy, even though he still looks like Brock Lesnar, but somehow he can't control his legs. And then they start to introduce, not only do you see Anya, but you see some of the characters from the previous game, the New Order.
Well, the thing that probably got me the most about Wolfenstein and the trailer was that it showed a lot of the gruesome violence in the game, man. And I was like, yo, this is awesome. And I think that although it didn't show like gameplay, it was definitely like it was gameplay in the sense that it was like scripted gameplay, and it looked really good, man. And it really set the tone for the idea that you're kind of restarting this. There's this American Revolution. You're trying to lead this resistance that is fighting against the Nazis and trying to take back America, and very much the sense that you are the underdog. And all of this whole trailer is set to the song Don Cachane, and it just I don't know, it was a really well done trailer. It was really well done.
Totally agree.
And yeah, man. But DeepBoyce, we are on to number one. Our number one pick. The number one E3 2017 video game trailer that had us hype. Marvel's Spider-Man. This is a spectacular spoiler league, everybody. We talk comics. We talk movies. You had to know that Spider-Man was going to come out on top. Coming exclusive to PS4. Looks great. The combat. It's funny because I heard people like, oh, the combat's like Arkham, man. It's just like Batman. How is that a bad thing? Everyone loves the combat in Arkham. Everyone loves that. And it looks a little bit different because it's based on Spidey's quick movements. He's got, different things that he could do with his webbing. I also like the fact that they featured Fisk in there, Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin. Also, Mr. Negative is a cool villain aesthetically. I love that he was included in the game. The web swinging that they did show seems to look really cool. I like the fact that you can run on the side of the buildings. I'm really looking forward to Spider-Man. I need that game.
Yeah, I really echo all of your sentiments. I know like some people were maybe a little hesitant with all the quick time events, but everything they showed, it's just for cinematic purposes, and it looked absolutely fantastic. And it did show a little bit of the web swinging around the city. Obviously, the demo needed to stay focused on what was going on at the moment, because obviously it's not like Spider-Man's going to suddenly just go swinging away when this helicopter is destroying half of Manhattan. But, what we saw, and it leaves a lot, it leaves us wanting a lot more in a good way. Who knows what's available, if it's, all of New York City, even part of New Jersey. But if it's with that level of detail and, some amazing open world mechanics. It's made by Insomniac Games, which I think is, in my opinion, that's a great developer. I've liked pretty much all of their games. And it's funny. This is almost like a fantasy pairing. People have kind of said before who could make a good Spider-Man game. and people oftentimes have mentioned Insomniac.
Yeah, it's pretty much Sucker Punch was probably the other name that people mentioned would be great, but then with the Insomniac and recently released Ratchet and Clank, it came out last year. That was a really great game. Sunset Overdrive came out 2014. People like that for the Xbox One. Like, listen, I'd be lying if I said they didn't have their duds, but Insomniac also gave us freaking Spiral the Dragon, man.
Yeah. I mean,
and Resistance. Underrated first-person shooter franchise. Highly underrated.
Listen, there aren't any perfect developers in any way, shape, or form. But sometimes, as you can see with Insomniac, definitely when they tackle something new, they excel at it.
Sure.
So I definitely have a lot of faith in their interpretation, and it looks extremely cool, and it looks a lot of fun. So, I mean, they kind of hit all the check marks with the trailer that they showed. Cinematics.
Definitely.
Story.
Definitely.
Gameplay. A little bit of Miles Morales right at the end.
Oh, who could forget that, man? I mean, listen, if I had to pick like which generally was the 100% best trailer, I would probably go with Wolfenstein. But we're talking about the top trailer that made us feel really excited for a game. And, Spider-Man for me, I mean, just the elements they peppered in there, man. Like Fisk, Mr. Negative. They went with a well-known villain. They went with a villain you don't know who has cool powers. So you're instantly like, that guy's cool. They put Miles Morales in there. They told us after the trailer and everything. They told us during E3 that you're going to have the option to change your costume. Some people aren't a fan of that costume. I actually really like the costume. Looks really cool, man. I'm looking forward to it. Also, Spider-Man's not a young kid. He's 23 years old, so he's full-fledged Spider-Man. Been Spider-Man for 8 years. So we're getting like a Spider-Man in his prime, man. Yeah. I'm excited for it, man. But anyway, guys, if you liked what you heard on this video today, let us know what games you're going to check out for E3. If you like what you heard, man, feel free to comment. Let us know what games you were excited for, what trailers you really liked, and hit us with your own top 10 rank in the comments or top 5 rank. Let us know about games for E3. And by all means, let us know if you want us to talk more about games, because we're more than willing to do that. This video was purely inspired. See, I'm saying about Spider-Man. This video was purely inspired by the leaguers out there who commented and asked us to talk about games and asked us to talk about E3. So this video is for you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Join up with the Spectacular Spoiler League. Hit that subscribe button, man. We need you guys out here in the league, man. We'll see you guys in the next one. We're getting out of the hole of spoilers. Peace out.